Greetings, and I would like to talk about Abe. And for those people who are unfamiliar with my work with Abe, ABE, Abe is the name or abbreviation. ABE is an abbreviation of the collective field of consciousness. And over the years, I've worked with a friend, Nicola, who's been receiving or communicating with the consciousness field. And we've been having a series of conversations, question and answer, and sometimes just messages, what we call nudges, coming from nowhere and that we receive. And this started around late 2018. And we've been doing a series of communications. We haven't done much in the last couple of years, in fact. But those who are aware of my work and my videos, about 2 years ago, I did a video series called Abe Updates, where every time I got an update from Abe, I would share it with you. And it was a kind of up-to-date commentary on what Abe had to say, or what Nicola received from Abe, this unified field of consciousness. And also, you may realize that 2 years ago, I brought out this book called Life in the Continuum, Explorations into Human Existence, Consciousness and Vibratory Evolution, which was my commentaries on a series of question and answers with Abe that took place at the end of 2018. And that came out 2 years ago. And now I would like to announce, for the first time, we have a follow-up. This is the second book in the Abe Commentaries, the Abe Commentaries, the Way Back Home series. And this book has been in preparation for, it was completed last year, and only now is it being prepared for publication. And it was released just this week, without fanfare, just quietly released. But I would like now to announce it. And it's called The Reality Game: Relations with Ourselves, the World Around Us, and the Greater Universe. And in fact, this follows on from the communications in Life in the Continuum. And these were communications from the end of 2018 until mid-2019, June 2019. And again, most of them are questions and answers, but some are unsolicited communications and messages. And as always, the first half of the book is my commentaries, what I feel and what I feel that the messages have to convey and how I interpret them. And then the messages are given directly in the second half of the book. And we have the sections in the reality game. Time for glasses. There are 6 sections. Section 1 is relations with ourselves. Section 2 is the reality game. Section 3, relations with the world around us. Section 4, contact with the greater universe. Section 5, consciousness, time, and energy. And Section 6, clarifying the way back home. And Abe would constantly refer to these communications as specifying the way back home, coming back to ourselves and our connection with the greater whole. And although these communications were from the end of 2018 until June 2019, that seems quite a while ago now, almost 5 years ago, or more. However, when I was formatting this book in 2023, I realized that, in fact, the messages are more relevant than ever, and perhaps are more related to the time now, because we feel that it's more necessary. There's a greater urgency to understand our nature of how we relate to ourselves, the world around us, and the greater universe. And so I'd like to say that that book is now out and can be bought online. And I'd like just to read a few parts from it, just to introduce it. I won't go too extensively. But what, for example, in the first part, what Abe is saying is that we get very much entangled in the world around us, especially now in all the physical events around the world. And when we get drawn into these events, we get energetically entangled. And Abe talks about how we put out our energies like tentacles, and anything that attracts us, we get drawn to, we put our tentacles to. And so we have all these energetic tentacles coming out from us, attaching to all these events, which is not healthy. So for one quote from Abe, in section 1 says, "The meaning of so cutting the cords are these very parts of consciousness, like little tentacles, that do so place themselves upon people, situations, establishments, religion, all being outside of yourselves. Drop them, for now they may very well sink back up again." So we need to drop all these entanglements and resync them, realign them. And every time we put out these energetic entanglements, it's like a part of our consciousness. And so we are almost kind of distracting and diluting our wholeness and integrity by all these external attachments, which are not synced up. They're not aligned. So they're almost kind of fragmenting us. For example, Abe talks about how we often put our need for belonging outside of ourselves. This search to be this is me talking now in my commentary. This search to be gets placed outside of us and projected onto an external other. Many people have a need to feel acceptance, to be told that everything is okay. In this, people find themselves moving from one group or person to another, endlessly seeking this confirmation of self. This, says Abe, is a form of trickery, of deceit. We just long to be, and we don't need this to be confirmed by an outside source, but we have been conditioned to think that this is so. We are caught up so much in our cultural programs, layers of social conditioning, that we even get our own belonging entangled in these outer events. Abe's quote, "You are wanting this gathering to reassure you, to back you up, that this is the way of truth. This is why there are so many groups. We would not be able to decide to whom we belong. Can you?" End quote. So our belonging to ourselves, I continue, for if we are never home, then where are we? What we don't often see, for it is clouded to our sight, is that we already belong. Our external seeking often ends up like the dog chasing the tail scenario. In this, we end up creating our own separations. And Abe says, "Can you see how you do as humans go around and around? You separate and then you have to but search from what you think you are separated from. Like the times you lose your glasses and then you realize they were but on your head. And you laugh, for you had been searching for something in which you already have." Quote from Abe. So, and Abe talks about what they call the reality game. And they continue to say how our inner fragmentation is projected externally onto our external relations, which then gets, again, reflects back on us. It's like this loop. We project it and we receive it as a reflection. We project it again, and this kind of continual fragmentation. Abe advises us to lighten up a little. They say, "You just need to but lighten up a little, to lighten the load of this constant bashing of doing life and allow it to do you for a while." So instead of us always bashing at life, trying to do it, trying to impose ourselves on life, trying to mold life, we should allow life to do us. We should, and this is also a theme of Abe, much about allowance, receptivity. We should allow things to come into us. We should allow this reception of energies and vibration, impressions and impacts, and then to respond to it rather than trying to bang away at imposing the shape of the world outside of us. So maybe in another video, I'll talk more about the reality game. So I just wanted to introduce the book and also to say for any Spanish readers, there is another version in Spanish, El Juego de la Realidad, which is a smaller version of just my commentaries. So that's available too. And so in these times of us being a bit splintered and going out of ourselves, it's now time to bring it back home, especially in these days ahead where we need to be as grounded as ever. So, and there's, just to finish on, there's a wonderful quote that I opened the book with from Abe. There in part one, I open the book and Abe quotes, "If you believe you are out of the game, you're still playing it." If you believe you're out of the game, you're still playing it. Okay, my friends, stay well and stay grounded. Until next time. Cheers.